women's movement hasn't said anything to my knowledge about Madonna.
We have, and bless your heart for raising it. Yeah, I mean there are some sort of women who are, I suppose, masquerading as feminists. Who go around and say that she is the feminist icon and the perfect example of women seizing power. Well, it ain't power the way that we view it. We're not into power over. We're into redefining it. Power to, and in fact, I think that she's with all respect to her, she's maybe very talented, and she certainly knows how to play the game and make money, and it has power over her own career. But she has played the game by all the old rules, and that's not whips and chains and messages about sort of S&M and boy toy are not what we're about. We're really talking about the freeing of more than half the human species, and in that process, the humanizing of the other half. That's a big job, but it's serious. It's also very joyful, and it's very exciting, and it's very creative, and it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the Camille Paglias or the Madonnas, I'm afraid.
Robin, thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you soon, and good luck with this book and everything else.
Thank you, Larry.
Robin Morgan, a great lady. She's the editor-in-chief of Ms. She's the author of The Word of a Woman, Feminist Dispatches, 1968 to 1992. If you'd like to order the book, 1-800-831-8900. 1-800-831-8900. It'll be signed by Ms. Morgan and charged to any credit card of your choice. Robin was with us by satellite from our studios in New York. We're going to pause for news on the hour. A word from your local stations. We'll come back with the new American hero. He is Orestes Lorenzo Perez. He is not American. He's Cuban. Major in the Cuban Air Force who defected 2 years ago, and then a couple days ago went back in a little Cessna and got his wife and kids out. He was with us earlier tonight on television. Major Perez follows the news. This is the Larry King Show, and this is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
If your doctor recommends a nicotine patch to stop smoking, this message is for you. A medical university study concludes that patches are most effective if you also use a behavioral replacement for cigarettes. Simply put, there are two halves to your habit. A patch helps your nicotine addiction, but the other half, smoking behavior. The habit of inhaling. The thousands of times you reach for a cigarette, on the phone, after a meal, in the car. These smoking habits can undermine the best medicine, but there is help. There's Easy Quit, a smokeless, non-medical cigarette you puff and hold, but never light. Easy Quit's scientifically formulated capsule rewards you with a pleasant taste. When cravings hit, puff Easy Quit until you quit the habits of smoking.
Over 1 million people have quit or cut down with no drug, no nicotine Easy Quit. A complete system is just $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling with a money-back guarantee. Order now. Call 1-800-225-2800.
KSDO, San Diego.
12 o'clock. From ABC News, I'm Joe Vaughn. There are some familiar names and some not-so-familiar names in the latest cabinet appointees announced in Little Rock. President-elect Clinton chose lawyer-diplomat Warren Christopher as Secretary of State and Democratic Congressman Les Aspin of Wisconsin to be Secretary of Defense. Georgetown professor Madeleine Albright will be UN ambassador, and Mount Holyoke College professor Anthony Lake will be National Security Advisor. The current Defense Secretary Dick Cheney is pleased with the man chosen by President-elect Clinton to take over the Pentagon. Cheney says Congressman Aspin is an excellent choice. That's how Colorado Representative Patricia Schroeder feels about the California Democrat who's in line to take Aspin's post as chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. Schroeder, who's a member of that committee, says Congressman Ron Dellums knows how the system works and will place top priority on the morale of U.S. troops during the upcoming defense cutbacks.
It's going to be an awfully difficult time as we start tapping people on the shoulder and saying, you thought you were career, but we don't need you anymore. And also the adjustments for women and for homosexuals, if the president signs that order, those are all going to be very critical. And there's no one better than Ron Dellums, whose background is social work, to make sure that that happens.
And in an appearance on ABC's Nightline, Representative Schroeder applauded Ron Dellums' personal style, saying he handled himself like a pro in conducting business in the House. More news after this.
Hey, it's time to play What a Dope, the show where kids who smoke marijuana try to answer incredibly simple questions. Okay, for $100, what did you eat for breakfast? Brian?
I forget.
Too bad, Brian. Let's move on. For $500, what is your first name? Debbie.
Brian.
I'm sorry, Debbie. The answer is Debbie, your own first name.
Really?
That's okay. Just try and concentrate for 2 or 3 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Okay. For $1,000, what day comes after Sunday? Brian?
French toast.
That's incorrect, Brian. And guess what?
Give me a hit, man.
You lose. Wow is right because marijuana has made you a complete imbecile. Hey, tune in again tomorrow, and remember, if you smoke marijuana, you're on the road. Brought to you by the Partnership for a Drug-Free America.
The U.S. Marines may have suffered their first casualty of the relief mission in Somalia. Relief sources quoted by the Reuters News Service say one person, believed to be a Marine, was killed in a mine explosion in the southern Somali town of Barderi. While most of the U.S. military personnel who had a role in Operation Restore Hope will be spending Christmas in Somalia, there are a few who were there who will be home for the holidays. Captain Craig Tamila, an Air Force pilot, returned to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro, North Carolina yesterday. While he's glad to be home, Captain Tamila also feels the mission in Somalia is the kind he values.
It's what we fly for every day, and this one's a little special in that there's it's more of a humanitarian type effort. So I think the result's more tangible rather than some of the other operational things that we do.
President Bush plans to spend Christmas with his family at Camp David, but New Year's Eve he'll be with the American troops in the field in Somalia. White House officials say, though, Mrs. Bush won't be traveling with her husband this time. There's a published report in Chicago that Sears is planning to close up to 100 of its stores and reduce the size of its catalog, which has been a fixture of the business since it was founded more than 100 years ago. ABC's Chris Bury reports from Chicago.
Sears refused to confirm reports that next year it would close up to 100 of its smaller, older outlets. But industry analysts say the closings are fully expected, along with a drastic downsizing of the Sears Big Book, the last of the full-service catalogs. The problem for Sears, analysts say, is high overhead, big bureaucracy, and intense competition, not only from low-cost rivals like Walmart and Kmart, but from specialty discounters in toys, electronics, and home improvements. Analysts believe the best hope for stores like Sears is to cut costs and find a niche, or run the risk of becoming retail relics. Chris Bury, ABC News, Chicago.
This is ABC News.
2 out, bottom of the 9th, and the MVP was up. I threw 3 curves that broke like dive bombers. His bat never moved. Not bad for the only girl in our little league. That was the first time the guys ever gave me 5. I've never forgotten how great that felt because I'm still giving 5 to the kids. 5 hours a week and 5% of my income is the goal I set to help others. So no matter what cause you're giving to now, give more. Give 5. For more information, call 1-800-55-GIVE-5.
A message from Independent Sector in the Ad Council.
I was going to be a manufacturer's rep, working my way across America, visiting furniture stores.
Bo Nielsen and the beginnings of Copenhagen Interiors.
And what I saw actually scared me because it had nothing to do with the kind of furniture that I saw in Scandinavian stores. I found out that they were strictly manufactured for the U.S. market, and actually was a far cry from what I was used to seeing. That was the thing that gave me the idea to start on my own, because hey, I can do this a lot better and I can show them the real thing.
And Bo's vision and the fine quality Scandinavian furniture has proven to be a success at Copenhagen Interiors.
I think it's a mixture of good quality at reasonable prices, and that we show things that you don't find in any other Scandinavian store, even though that there are copies out there. We don't buy anything from Taiwan or Singapore.
It's the real thing and something for everyone's lifestyle. 5 blocks west of I-15 on Miramar Road by the Acapulco restaurant, Copenhagen Interiors.
KSDO News Talk Radio.
KSDO San Diego, WLG 786, WLG 790.
Live from Washington, D.C., it's The Larry King Show. The Larry Larry King Show features interviews with interesting guests from around the world and telephone calls from across North America. It's a presentation of the Mutual Broadcasting System. And now the host of the program, here's Larry.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Larry King Show. America's newest hero is with us. He was with us earlier tonight on television. Orestes Lorenzo Perez, Major Perez, the former Cuban Air Force pilot who flew first out of Cuba in a MiG when he defected 2 years ago and then went back last week and got his wife and kids out after 2 years of trying to get him out through regular diplomatic clearances by doing it in a Cessna. Coming back to Florida, met with President Bush today. By the way, his wife is in the studios, and she is lovely. I would have gone and rescued her myself if he had asked me. This is the Larry King Show. In hour number 1, our guest earlier was Robin Morgan. If you want to talk to Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez, our numbers are 703-418-1500. He is also involved with a foundation. And in our studios is Christina Curtin. She is here to assist in case there are any questions that might occur in which Major Lorenzo Perez has difficulty with the language, although so far I found him to be perfect if you watch this earlier tonight on television. What is this foundation, Major?
The Valladares Foundation is a no-profit human rights organization founded by former Cuban political prisoner Armando Valladares, who spent 22 years in prison in Cuba unjustly because he was disagree with Cuban government, just because he was a man who believed in God, the man who did not like the Cuban government. He did not make any attempts, any violence against the government, just for his ideas. Armando Valladares suffered torture in prison. He was witness of hundreds of executions in prison. He was isolated in a small, very small jail, about 4 by 4 feet surface for 10 years. Armando spent 1,100 straight in prison. They tried all the time to destroy him. At the same time, Armando was writing poems. Armando was drawing, and he kept his faith all of the time. God was with him, and Armando never allowed himself to hate that people who tortured him. And after international campaign in 1982, finally, because the president of France, Francois Mitterrand, interceded before Castro, Armando was liberated, and now he lives here in Virginia. He was the ambassador of the United States before the United Nations Human Rights Commission, and he's a wonderful man.
And the foundation is named for him?
Right.
And raises money to do what?
Foundation is to help people who has problems. Cuban people and all around the world to defend the dignity of people. So I met Armando here. I met the executive director of Foundation, Cristina Arriaga. And we started together a campaign with other human rights organizations, with Freedom House too, for example, who helped us. Mr. Frank Calzón have worked with us very close, and also Pasco in Spain, all around the world, trying to convince Castro to release my family, using diplomatic means.
We, by the way, will be giving out the address of that foundation, as we did at the end of the TV show tonight, with anything you'd like to do to help people like Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez, who has become... Are you surprised at everything that's happened? I mean, there's a story on the wires now. They're after you to do a movie contract.
You know, I don't believe myself. What happened? If somebody will tell me that some man took a plane, landed on the road within traffic, at the rush hour traffic, and picked his family up, I would not believe it.
But are you surprised that everything has happened to you? Television, movie offers, books.
You know, I did not care about that. Even before to take a plane, somebody told me, take a video camera, put on the plane, you will film.
Sell it for a current
everything.
affair. I give you $50,000 today.
Yeah, but I did not care about that. You know, the most important there was the communication within me and God, because I knew it was impossible. I calculated everything, a lot of mathematics calculation I made, and all of the time I knew it's impossible to land on the road and to pick them up within traffic. But I knew from my heart that it was possible, that we're going to do it, and it will be fine, that I will pick them up. So, and think about the police, media, television, was very far away. Although this
you were thinking about getting your family out.
Right.
Why didn't Cuban radar pick you up?
I think maybe they saw me, maybe. They just do not have time to do anything against me.
You flew very low, right?
I flew very low. When they saw me, they started to communicate to command point, for example, to make a decision, because they don't know what's that plane.
Who is this plane landing on our road?
Right. And when they understand what's going on, was dark already. And aviation couldn't do anything against me. And I was so low flying away to the United States.
Conversely, when you defected 2 years ago in a Russian MiG to come here, how did you get through our radar?
You know,
same thing, maybe.
Yeah, I have read a lot of speculation about this. I don't have any official conclusion about what happened at that time. But I think, and I have some knowledge about air defense system, and I'm a pilot, but I am a specialist, professional command officer in air defense system. I spent 4 years studying that, and I think the American radars saw me. The difference was that they did not have time to make a decision to intercept me before I got to Key West. The problem is that there was peacetime. Any threatening against the United States. It doesn't mean that somebody can reach the United States.
Were you worried that the United States might shoot you down?
Yes, I was. I was really worried, but it was the same situation like now. I prefer to die at that time than continue to lie all of the time, to continue living the way I have been living, with a constant hypocrisy, without love. I couldn't.
You told us earlier tonight on television you started to change is when you went to Russia.
Right.
And so perestroika beginning in Russia is what taught you that maybe things in Cuba weren't as nice as you thought.
I told you even that I saw you first time in Russia.
First time you saw me was in Russia. And you saw Gorbachev in Mexico recently.
10 days ago, about 2 weeks ago, I met Gorbachev in...
Let me get a break. We'll come back. If you want to talk with Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez, Cuban Air Force, formerly the Cuban Air Force, an act of boldness in getting out 2 years ago, and another incredible act of boldness in taking this twin-engine Cessna, flying. There's the road, picked up his wife and kids. The kids are asleep, I presume. His lovely wife is in the studios. We'll be back after these messages.
It's nothing serious. It only wakes me up a couple of times a week. Oh, it really doesn't affect me. I avoid foods that are fried or spicy. I can deal with it. I just take antacids.
If you have frequent heartburn symptoms like acid indigestion or burning in the chest, talk to your doctor. These may be signs of a more serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
It's only heartburn. I should learn to live with it. Right?
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor? Sponsored by the Glaxo Institute for Digestive Health.
A heart attack is one of the most frightening and difficult experiences you could ever face. I know, I had one. But there is a road back. Ask your doctor how a regimen of diet, exercise, and therapy Bayer aspirin can help prevent a second heart attack. Many doctors take therapy Bayer for their own heart regimens. It's made with pure Bayer aspirin that's safety-coated to help prevent stomach upset. Safety-coated therapy Bayer. For your heart, it's the wonder drug that works wonders. Ask your doctor. Use only as directed.
You're at a holiday party eating red and green onion rings when you realize your breath isn't a little off-key. La 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 la. It's really off-key. La 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 la. Don't get upset. Get Clorettes. For over 40 years, no other breath freshener has been more effective than Clorettes. So just pop a couple in and relax. Your breath will be ready for the mistletoe in no time. When your breath's really off key, get Clorettes in both gum and mints.
Honey, just so I know, what color sweater did you send your brother?
Whoops.
You did mail it when you sent your mother her scarf?
Uh-oh.
You know, it was just like the scarf you sent my mother.
Oh, boy.
Luckily, you can still send those last-minute gifts overnight with express mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Remember, you were stopping by the post office on your way to get your allergy shot?
Some restrictions apply. Check your post office for details.
You're listening to The Larry King Show, live from Washington, D.C. Here again, Larry King.
As promised, the address of the Valadares Foundation, if you'd like to help and help people like the Major. It's VALLADARES, Valadares Foundation, 1800 Diagonal, D-I-A-G-O-N-A-L, Diagonal Road, 1800 Diagonal Road, Suite 602, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314. And their phone number, if you want to call for information, is 703-684-4407. What were you thinking about? And everybody now listening knows this story, and you'll want to talk to the Major. We'll be going to call shortly. When you were flying the Cessna over to Cuba, what, in that 40-minute flight, you're alone in this plane, it's like Lindbergh.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Oh, first of all, I was scared. I was scared for my family.
You knew they were waiting on the road because the women had gotten the message to them, right?
Right. I just had one point in my mind. I didn't pay attention anything else. Just pick them up. I didn't have the opportunity to make 2 attempts to land. So I had to land anyway, at any cost, at the first attempt. So I was expecting what I will find there. What kind of traffic, heavy traffic or not, will be there at the place. And I couldn't see the road from the far away because I was so low. And the road was behind the hill. So I made a climb about a mile before the hill. I put down the landing gears, the flaps. I started to glide to approach the road. After I passed the hill, I saw the road, I saw the car, the bus and truck which were coming toward me, and I landed before the car. At the same time, I saw my family. But I made a decision that I have to land it because I didn't have time to do it again.
They were standing by the road?
They were standing at the left side of the road. They were wearing orange T-shirt. And they ran to the plane very fast. The youngest one lost his shoes. I remember when he got into the plane, he said, "Mom, I lost my shoes." And she said, "Forget about them." They tried to embrace me, to touch me. Daddy, they were surprised because children didn't know anything. I said to them, "Be quiet, just sit down, don't touch me." She knew before, because I wrote about this, that I have to pay 100 attention to the plane.
Were there cars on the road looking at you?
When I stopped the plane about 20 feet from the truck. The truck stopped, and I stopped. I will face to face. I will never forget the face of the right.
What did he look like?
He was very surprised. The face of the man who doesn't understand what is going on.
A plane is on the road.
What is that? The plane within the traffic in the road. I made a U-turn, and because my family, I passed my family, they stayed behind me, and I had to change my plan at that time. My plan was first that I will land. I will pick them up. They will run to the plane. They will go in, and we'll go right at the same direction.
Touchdown.
Right. Something like touchdown. But I couldn't do it, so I have to make I passed them, so I made a U-turn, and in this case was dangerous for children because propellers were running to the plane from the propeller side. Even though my wife was holding him very strong, I had to make one more 90 degrees turn to the left to avoid any danger for them. And I opened the door and they went. They got into
How much room do you need to take off in that plane?
You know, that plane is supposed to, the pilot has to make a pressure back on the control at about 80 miles. And he's supposed to break the ground at 95 miles. I got a control back so early, much early, and the plane broke the ground much early, about maybe 68, maximum 70 miles. And I think this is a miracle. This is a work of God. And
that it took off.
Yes, it took off. And
that's a 31-year-old airplane, too, right?
Right.
Yeah. And you're a MiG pilot.
Right. It's a very old airplane, but I love it. I love it.
I'll bet. We're back, and we'll go to your calls for Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez. There are stories on the wire. You've had movie offers?
Yes, I was watching TV today, NBC. They thought that their office in Miami received 45 offers for movie, but I don't have time to think about that. I just want to relax now, to give time my children, my wife. This is the most important. They need me, I need them, and I hope for now this will be the last show.
As someone said tonight on television, if you were making a movie of Major Perez, who would play Major Perez? And we all came up with the same answer. Major Perez. We'll be back after these messages.
This soothing music is for anyone who took the leading cold pill for a tough cold instead of Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine, because you could probably use some relief right now. See, the cold pill only relieves congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus relieves congestion, plus tough body aches, sore throat, and headaches. Now, here's some music for those who took Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. It's tough medicine. Use as directed.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Christmas is almost here. Time for Express Mail.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Express Mail from the U.S. Postal Service can deliver your last-minute packages fast.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Real fast. Overnight, in fact, even on Christmas Day.
Oh, what fun it is to ride.
That way, you can relax.
In a one-horse open sleigh, we deliver for you.
Some restrictions apply. Check your post office for details.
Okay, staffers, any ideas for the Christmas edition of the school paper?
How about places we can all afford to shop for Christmas?
Yeah, Radio Shack has lots of gifts for under $30. Not just for kids, for everyone.
I'm getting the AM/FM stereo headset for just $21.95.
I found a pocket spell checker on sale for $19.95.
And what about the AM/FM travel clock radio for only $13.88?
Radio Shack even has gifts for under $10. Pocket repeat games are on sale for just $7.95 each.
And the LCD watch is only $9.95.
What a deal! That's front page news.
Yeah, all right.
No matter what your budget, you'll find fantastic values on gifts for everyone at Radio Shack. Get 0% interest and no payments till March 1993 on purchases of $100 or more. No down payment required. Stores open late tonight. Prices and credit offer good at participating stores and dealers through December 24th.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
You're listening to The Larry King Show, live from Washington, D.C. Here again, Larry King.
Let's start going to your calls, and we certainly thank him for coming. He's very tired. Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez will be repeating the address of the foundation. We go to Mobile, Alabama. Hello.
Hi, Larry.
Hi.
How can I get a tape of this program?
If you want a tape of this show, you send $4.95 to Lion Recording. That's Lion Recording Box 962, Washington 20044. You have a question for the Major?
Is Lion Recording Box 962?
Right, Washington 20044.
44. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Columbus, Georgia. Hello.
Good evening. Major congratulations. I'm glad that you originated in Columbus, Georgia with our Mrs. Amos. I recognize what you said on TV tonight. She is one terrific lady. I'd like to ask you, I agree or concur with what you said on one of the shows earlier today, that you don't consider this a heroic thing. It's simply a thing that a man has to do for his family, and I understand that, but there are some of us that will consider it a heroic act. Specifically going into Cuba, having been in that exact same area a lot of years back, it would seem that you had a narrow envelope, one, going in and getting out, and it would also seem that you probably picked the worst possible time to go in there because of the Cuban maneuvers down there.
Right.
What's the question?
I just like his comments.
Were they maneuvering when you went there?
Yes, I did not know that because I was working full time in my plant. I did not pay attention to the press, and I did not read that. But it is interesting because it demonstrates that the Cuban air defense system and the Cuban armed forces are myth and not the real armed forces. And it's very... Castro have to say to feel himself maybe humiliating. I don't know how to express what I think about, but it has to be terrible for Cuban government.
Oh, this is embarrassing. Yeah,
embarrassing, right?
They have a pretty sizable air force, don't they?
Right, they are very big air force. Even for a small country like Cuba, bigger air force like
bigger than Canada, right?
Bigger than Canada.
And your specialty was defense,
right?
So you were a pilot is what you did, but you specialized, and you went to the War College in Moscow, right?
Right. I became pilot in 1980, and I went in 1986 to the War College in Russia again to pass a command War College in air defense system.
Is the MiG a good plane?
The MiG is no bad plane. Of course, the MiG-23 I took from Cuba to the United States was all plane. We cannot compare it with American planes. American planes are better. I have no doubt about that. But the Russian planes are no bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
And the Cessna 310 ain't bad.
It's the best one in the world.
We're going to pause for news headlines, a word from your local stations, and we'll be back with more of our great guest, Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez. This is the Larry King Show in Washington. The headlines and then more of the Major on the Mutual Broadcasting System.
There's no place like home. There's no place like...
KSDO knows there's no place like home, especially around the holidays. But if you can't be there, you can phone home. It's a special holiday edition of the Ken Kramer Show. You phone home, KSDO picks up the tab. It's all live on the radio from 6 to 8 tomorrow night here on AM 1130 KSDO.
Call now to order Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 2. He's back.
Stay down!
And he's yours on home video. Go now! Call now. This exclusive direct home video offer will be available for a limited time only. Rated R.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-533-7348 for Terminator 2, 1998 plus shipping. Call now, 1-800-533-7348. That's 1-800-533-7348.
KSDO.
Tuned to AM 1130 for San Diego's earliest news on America in the Morning. Coming up at 4 on KSDO.
A U.S. Marine reportedly has been killed in Somalia. The Reuters news service says what would be the first American casualty of Operation Restore Hope occurred near the Somali town of Bardera, the result of a landmine. 2 others thought to be U.S. Marines are said to have been injured. Neither the Pentagon nor relief agencies in Somalia have been able to confirm the report. President-elect Clinton is nearing the end of his cabinet selection process. Correspondent Peter Mayer following developments in Little Rock.
President-elect Clinton still hopes to name his cabinet before Christmas, but he leaves the door open to let his self-imposed deadline slip.
I think we can make it, but I'm not going to tie myself down to it because the remaining decisions are very important to me, and I want to make sure I've done the right thing.
Clinton still must fill 4 key domestic posts, including Attorney General. He hopes to name the first woman Attorney General. The other openings are Transportation, Agriculture, and Interior Secretaries.
President Bush has lifted the ban on U.S. arms sales to China. It's a move Bill Clinton could be expected to change once he's in office. I'm Fred Lowry.
If your doctor recommends a nicotine patch to stop smoking, this message is for you. A medical university study concludes that patches are most effective if you also use a behavioral replacement for cigarettes. Simply put, there are 2 halves to your habit. A patch helps your nicotine addiction, but the other half, smoking behavior. The habit of inhaling. The thousands of times you reach for a cigarette, on the phone, after a meal, in the car. These smoking habits can undermine the best medicine, but there is help. There is Easy Quit, a smokeless, non-medical cigarette you puff and hold, but never light. Easy Quit's scientifically formulated capsule rewards you with a pleasant taste. When cravings hit, puff Easy Quit until you quit the habits of smoking.
Over 1 million people have quit or cut down with no drug, no nicotine Easy Quit. A complete system is just $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling with a money-back guarantee. Order now. Call 1-800-225-2800. Call 1-800-225-2800.
The Larry King Show is taking your calls now at 703-418-1500. That's 703-418-1500. And now, back to Larry.
With Major Orestes Lorenzo Perez, he met today with President Bush at the White House. If you want more information, want to help, you can call 703-684-4407. That's the Valadares Foundation in Alexandria, Virginia. 703-684-4407. We go back to the calls for Orestes Lorenzo Perez, Charleston, West Virginia. Hello.
Muy buenas, señor.
Muy buenas.
I want to wish, my Spanish isn't very good, so I'll practice English. I want to wish you and your family a very, very happy life in this country.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very, very welcome.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Kalamazoo, Michigan. Hello.
Major Perez, did you ever know another Cuban Air Force officer by the name of Francisco Fiorini, a.k.a. Frank Sturgis?
Francisco Farini?
Yes.
Frank Sturgis would have been before his time. Frank Sturgis was involved in the Watergate and was...
no.
But that was way before... he would have been a child when Frank Sturgis was prominent.
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't know him.
Okay, Odessa, Florida. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Larry.
Hi.
Sir, I myself have dreams of landing in Cuba and unloading an M60 on Mr. Castro's face. Mr. Perez, brushing aside this justifiable prejudice to Castro and his communistic dictatorship, are there any redeeming qualities you can think of for this man? Please comment.
Anything you like about Fidel Castro?
To find something I like in him, I can't. I really can't. I was a man who believed in Castro all my life.
When you did believe him, what did you love about him?
Castro was my God. You know, let me tell you something. I was 7 years old. I was intern in a school. I just came home on weekends. And I was taught to believe in a new God. In a God dressed in uniform with a pistol at his side. In a new God that was Castro. We were prohibited from believing in God. We did not have church. I did not have any toys in my life. I did not have fantasies in my childhood. But when I was 10 years old, I knew how to put together and take apart a combat rifle very well. That's what they taught me. I was taught to hate all my life. That was the Cuban indoctrination. Of course, in this way, I believed before in Castro. I loved Castro. He was my God, my leader, my father, everything. After I got information, I understood what is going on around the world, what is democracy, how free are people in America and other countries. And I understood that I was manipulated on my life by Castro. I did not feel frustrated. I did not feel upset. I feel angry.
How has he lasted so long? No leader in the world has lasted this long.
You know, but Castro has... Nobody in the world, I think, has the power that Castro has. Castro is something like a king, like a Julius Caesar. He can do everything he wants. He can kill. He can put people in jail. For example, last December 10th was the World Day of the Human Rights Day around the world. At the same time in Havana, were Mr. Wayne Smith and Mr. Gore trying to, in a meeting with Castro, to make better relationship within the United States and Cuba. At the same time, Castro sent people, his security forces, to beat, almost they kill the political opponents in Cuba, in Havana. This is the message of Castro to the world.
He's a bully.
Right.
Heron, Illinois. Hello.
Hi. Well, I guess maybe the movie Iron Eagle's not all that far-fetched after all. Hey, listen, Major Perez, congratulations. And on behalf of, I'm sure, a lot of Americans out there, listen, the understatement of the year, a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, sir.
And I would most joyfully consider you a true American hero. And
you want to become an American citizen?
Maybe.
Well, you'd go back. If Castro left office and Cuba became a democracy, would you go back?
You know, I have a debt with my people in Cuba. If I can help them in some way, I have to come back. But at the same time, I have some feeling, some contradiction, because I would like that my children were raised here in the United States. I really love this country, and I want for my children the best. I'm not that some people who live in the United States and outside the United States that want for Cuban children something they don't want for their own children. And so I don't know if I will stay here.
How are your kids taking it so far?
Oh, they love it here. Yeah. They are free. Yesterday they made first choice in their life. They took, finally, first decision themselves. They choose a pair of shoes at the store.
To Toronto, Canada. Hello.
Good morning, Larry, and welcome to Major Perez and his family. I have a few questions, and I guess it's based on having been to Cuba myself twice on holiday, but in a unique sort of way, because I was a passenger on a Russian cruise ship at the time that the Russians had invaded Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
So there were no Americans on board, obviously. I noticed we were free to walk anywhere in Havana, and I noticed that most of the city, although very clean, seemed very poor. And that's just an observation on my part. My question for the Major is, have you left any family members in Cuba? And if so, how would you expect that they would be treated now? Do you have fears for their safety?
Of course, I'm scared about that. I'm afraid that Castro.
Who's there?
Yes, there are my parents, my brother, even my middle brother. He was separated from the job because the government is the owner of everything in Cuba. He's having really hard time now.
Because of you, do you think?
Yes, because I left Cuba almost 2 years ago. But at the same time, right now, for example, last night we talked with our parents by phone, through Canada, by the way, and with my wife's parents. And, they are receiving right now very strong support from the people. Everybody's coming home telling him, congratulations. You said our people is very poor. Anyway, they bring something then. And they are happy, and I think maybe the Cuban government is now afraid to make anything against them. Anyway, they are not any threat for the government.
Do they want to leave?
They cannot leave anyway, because, family is really big. You cannot take 40, 50 people.
And they're probably set in their ways there. No?
Right, they will stay in Cuba.
Cleveland, hello.
Yes, Larry. Old Spot.
I don't know what you're talking about. We'll be back after, sad man, after these messages.
Oh, one piece, two piece. I need a new bathing suit to get me over these winter blues.
A little inspiration, huh?
Here's a high cut, low cut, so many choices.
Well, whatever you choose, use your Visa card, because now the card that's everywhere you want to be could send you anywhere you want to be.
Anywhere I want to be? Oh, a beach with sun.
Sounds good. Well, every day between November 23rd and December 24th, Visa's giving away a trip worth $15,000.
Wow.
Every time you use your Visa card, you'll have a chance to win.
$15,000? I could go to the Riviera and something very Vogue, or Daytona and get totally wild.
And $1,000 worth of Visa traveler's checks as part of the prize.
Hey, if I win, I could stretch out in something exotic in Tahiti.
Visa's Anywhere You Want to Be sweepstakes. Winning could take you places.
Or maybe a bikini for the Bahamas. What about something fun for Fiji?
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. No purchase necessary. Must be U.S. resident, 18 or older. Void where prohibited. Odds of winning depend on the number of eligible entries. For official rules, call 1-800-648-8472.
After 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days in prison, I am free.
I have experienced the blessing of your appeal, for you have raised your voice in defense of my husband.
Words cannot express the gratitude I feel to you for securing my release.
Surely there is nothing so sweet, so beautiful, so precious as freedom and liberty.
Please, I have nowhere else to turn. The soldiers have taken my daughter.
For over 30 years, Amnesty International has worked to free prisoners of conscience, to stop torture, to prevent executions, and to protect human rights. Amnesty International. Raise your voice. 1-800-55-AMNESTY.